What's going on, people? Midler89 here, Helionostic, True Source player. Hope you're all doing well. In this video I just wanted to talk about my experience with the Kabbalah and some paranormal activity I experienced, as well as first starting to getting conscious in the dream state, and experiencing Satan in the dream trying to come after my soul off the back of what I did with my Easter rituals back in 2019, which was quite interesting. And obviously seeing some watches as well with some weird robotic type teleoperated drone people around that period of time also, and also seeing a star being off the back of a thunderstorm, which is quite unique because it was on a Thursday, which is linked to Thor. But yeah, going back to what I mentioned in my previous video about setting up a ritual, I was using the house as an extension of myself. Didn't really explain that properly, but if you look at the way they do these things, these masons, and how all these buildings of significance are built, like the churches and cathedrals and stuff in temples, it's otherwise just the representation of the anatomy of man and the chakra system. So if you look at a church from a bird's eye view, normally a lot of them are lined up perfectly east, west, north and south. So the entrance would be like facing east, and you come in and that would otherwise be like where the feet are, or where the root chakra would be coming in to the church. And then you walk your way up to the altar. So where the altar would be where the head would lay, where man is, if you were to overlay it on the church's map or plot from as above, looking from above, because this is where you light your candles. And obviously where the head of man is, or woman, is where the consciousness is. It symbolises enlightenment. And this is where we go to alter our consciousness. And this is why here we call these temples. And so knowing that, you know, and also the temple is within. And so otherwise what you see in churches is an external representation of what is within our bodies, which are a temple in itself. And so that's what I did. My rituals in Easter was to use the house, because my house was perfectly aligned west, east to west. I thought this would be perfect to extend myself during these couple of weeks, which preceded, you know, the Notre Dame and stuff and everything that I did in terms of reclaiming my soul. I felt like I reclaimed my soul during those 2 weeks of rituals, coming into Beelzebub, Master Puppet, and it was very triumphant, coming into, like, you know, the symbolisms of the griffin and stuff. Using that is very powerful, and I recommend that if you've got the space, clear it up, make sure everything's clean. I put a candle on every window and set these things up as a ritual, and you can pay more attention then as to the messages that come into the house. Like I said, I had like a cat run into the house, which brought me up to the loft, which was otherwise the altar, which presented me to a box which had in it a black scroll with stars in it, and then a message. What do you think when you look at darkness? I think nothing but potential. So yeah, these, you know, doing that is very, very, you'll get a lot of results basically. So that's a huge kind of, it's not really a secret, but it's a good hack if you want to try to help decipher, you know thyself and your reality, and maybe get some magic happening in your life. But obviously be careful, be prepared, you know, because there's always going to be tests along the way. So anyway, going back to the Kabbalah, I was studying it and I was trying to match where the planets were, and I remember focusing on Dat, which is right in the middle, just below the top, and because that governed knowledge. And so I was thinking it's got to be Pluto. So I was kind of lining it up, and I saw different representations of this online, people talking about it, and so it's got to be Pluto. So I go to bed that night, and to confirm that, you know, this was correct, which is quite interesting, I woke up before going to work and my candle was lit. So I was thinking, oh fucking hell, here we go, my computer's running, which I shut down. So the computer turned on overnight, my candle was lit at some point, whether it was by me sleepwalking or just by magic, who knows, would never know. I turned on the monitor to see, you know, because I shut down the computer because it was running, and it was playing a video on YouTube. So obviously when it kicked back up during the night at some point, it was just running YouTube videos, and it was just obviously on autoplay. So when I came up to go and shut down, it was like halfway through a video of NASA talking about Pluto. So I was thinking, oh wow, yeah, here's confirmation of that. You know, that's a huge synchronicity. And tapping into the magic of the Kabbalah, which I, you know, was pondering and meditating on Pluto being Dat, which is the sphere of knowledge, which otherwise, you know, Hades in the underworld, death and rebirth. And what was also interesting now, since coming into more knowledge, looking back on these events, because these events carry with you, because they'll be the foundation of more knowledge to build upon as you grow in awareness and start piecing the puzzles together. Well, I've since learned, since then, I've had a lot more synchronicities with Pluto, because I found out obviously Pluto and the moon are in conjunct in Scorpio, which is obviously linked to me having my self-initiation in the sign of Scorpio. In the last 3 years, when my sun, when it's been Scorpio in the fall, I've had some pretty significant events happen in the last 3 years of my life. So it's a very important time. It's where the veil's at its thinnest. So I was like, pay attention. But I've since come into the knowledge of when America was founded in 1776, Pluto takes 240 years to, around 240 years to make a full orbit. He's set to return when America was founded, which I believe is going to be the next Atlantis, in February, 22nd of February, 2022. So 2202 2022. So I was like, wow, you know, pay attention, that's awesome. You know, that's just confirmation there. And these things, when you have all these synchronicities line up, you know, keep hold of them, treasure them, because, you know, they're foundations, you could build upon them. Like in this instance, so, you know, for me, next February 22nd is a huge date, and America in particular, with all the information that I've been led into based on, you know, just that one occurrence, the Kabbalah. But the Kabbalah is very interesting in itself. Obviously, it holds a lot of magic and secret of the stars, which otherwise you've got to be careful, because I've heard a lot of people talk about its invertive nature and how it can actually be quite evil, you know, if you go too deep into it, which is why I stopped studying it. I just kind of, you know, gleaned as much as I could from it and then just moved on to other things. It didn't become my life. The Kabbalah did not become my life. Like all these religions and mystic schools, I just go in for a little bit, rummage around and pick what resonates with me and then move on to someone else. It's called syncretism. You know, Santos Bonacci teaches this. It's very important. You pick parts, because every religion and school of thought, you know, has certain truths and secrets that otherwise align and they mesh together. And these are the ones you need to find and put all the fiction aside. So what else was interesting was around this time I was starting to become conscious in my dreams, and it'll be literally in the astrals where I'll be asleep. And I remember seeing myself asleep one time when I was in my room, and what I was confronted with, based on what I went through in the Easter rituals of me reclaiming my soul, was what I thought was Satan coming through the TV as what's depicted, you know, my pet goat, where he's on like a wire, and he comes at his head's like this TV. And you can see one eye's missing, this one beady eye's just staring at you. This came through the TV, my fucking black mirror TV. And I was sat on the couch, and this energy was like pinning me to the couch. And I knew I was out of body, I was conscious in the dream, I could see my body, and I was thinking, fucking hell. And it wanted my soul back. It was as if I had something so powerful and treasured to him, that it wanted it back. And I said, no. I remember just repeating no in my head, and I kind of stood up. And it was like I was being... like a gale force wind was being kind of trying to pin me down. It was like all this pressure. I took all the power on my might to stand up and confront him and say no. And it just, you know, I woke up and I was back in my body. And there was another time where there was this other demon entity, and I was conscious in the dream. And I was like in this classroom setting, and he was disguised as an old family friend, and he was kind of teaching the class. But then all of a sudden he realised I was conscious, and then came after me and started attacking me. Pinned me up against the wall, and I saw the snake eyes. And this thing had snake eyes, and I remember thinking, fucking hell, what do I do? And I took a big deep breath, and I felt my whole abdomen, where my solar plexus was, filled full of light, and I just roared it out with the sound of a lion to this entity, and it petrified him. It just stunned him. And then as I did that, this rainbow serpent came up and just consumed this entity and took it down into the drain and back to where it came. And it was like all done through my thoughts. And this is the power of imagination that I began to tap into around this time, and thinking, wow, you know, there's a lot of power in these dreams and what's going on, and that, you know, once you do reclaim what's right for yours, you've got all the tools and faculties and power to get rid of these parasites, otherwise causing you harm. And I remember there was another one where, you know, after all these dreams I was having, there was loads of them, but these are like the most significant ones I remember. There was this entity as well with like a white eye and then a goat's eye. So goat's eyes have like horizontal eyes, and I thought this could be symbolic as Saturn again, and Capricorn the goat. This is where, you know, Saturn domiciles. And I was thinking, wow, and he's just there watching me. Just, you know, I was conscious in the dream. I was doing something like role playing whatever this thing was going on in my dream. But I knew I was conscious, and I was looking at this guy, and he was just watching me the whole time. I was playing out with these random people, whatever I was doing. Yeah, so very bizarre but interesting. And so, you know, once you start gaining consciousness in your dreams, you otherwise are in the astral state. That is the lucid state. And pay attention, because, you know, it's very significant that you become conscious during those times. And so these are very important times, and this is where you can really glean and take back your power and defend your power, which I found, which is really quite interesting. And so obviously since then, you know, I was starting to purify. You know, that's probably 6 months off the booze by then. There's, you know, cleaned up my diet, come off the meats, and I was distilling my water also. And so that was enabling me to gain access into these realms consciously. And so it's, you know, it all started to unfold. It was brilliant. Another thing that was happening during the time was seeing again these lights going off in the rooms opposite where my apartment was, and they'd be going off, all these different multicolored lights. And then there was a few occasions where these beings, these people, were just fucking stood there. So one guy was stood there one time with his top off and just in his shorts, and he was just rocking back and forth, just staring into my room with all these weird lights going off as if he's having a fucking disco. And I was thinking, what the fuck is going on? And I was thinking, obviously, now coming into the knowledge of like teleoperated drones and stuff, it probably was one of them. And it makes sense because I remember around the time I was going through all these walks, and I'd see these weird people like walking as if they weren't natural and almost like glitching when they're around me. And they were kind of like, and I was a bit spooked. I had to say hello to them because they were kind of like staring at me. I was thinking, they're going to say hello. It's a bit weird if I don't. I said, like, hello. And they just kind of like, they kind of look shocked, and they kind of walk past and they kind of do this, and it's all rigid and it's not natural. You know, obviously knowing now about what they do with clones and the fucking drones and stuff makes sense. And obviously everything I've gone through and like shifting my frequency, it's like shit. You know, I'm on the mark. There's a flag. They're keeping an eye on me. They don't know what to do. And it's so true because they work so hard to keep everything in such a dense state that one person like the Matrix, Neo, an anomaly, and I know there's many of us doing this now, shifting the grid, can fuck shit up and really mess up their whole plan to keep us in this perpetual sleep so they can harvest our souls and live off our soul energy because they're detached from source. And I think they're pathetic, and so they have to rely on all these secret frequency weapons and stuff like this. They can never present themselves because they're parasites, you know, and these they've got no control and power over us once you know your true power. But obviously, be prepared because, you know, you need to, when going into this and coming into your own power, you will be met with a lot of resistance. That's what I found. But this is all part of the journey, and this is why it makes it more rewarding when you get there. You know, I'm still a long way to go, but you know, I'm still battling now and again with these fucking frequency attacks. But you know, again, there's always remedy, there's always solution, and it's all based on knowledge. You know, get the EMF shields and stuff like this. Get the beanies with the silver lining on and stuff like this, and the canopies around your beds, because it goes after your pineal gland. It's, you know, all these frequencies. But anyway, there was another just to wrap it up. There was another one during that time. This is all through summer of 2019. You know, these events, they tend to, it's just one rolling ball of, you know, mad events after mad events and experiences, which is cool. But I remember one night heading out, I think it was on a Thursday night actually, which is quite significant. There was a thunderstorm over the sea, and it was a nice warm night, clear obviously where we were, but you know, a couple of miles out at sea you could see all this thunderstorm and lightning going off, and it's quite cool just to watch. So I was sort of kicking back, just chilling out, had the headphones in, I was just kind of peering out to sea on the cliff top. And there's quite a few people around, so it was outside one of these busy hotels, and this giant great big light came up and over where we were on the cliff top, and it was as bright as Jupiter would appear in the night sky if you was to see it. It's pretty bright, and it wasn't, you know, it was like, holy shit. And then people looked at it as well. I remember walking past and I kind of mentioned, like, what is that? And someone said, like, satellites. I know it's not a satellite, so it just came hurtling over like breakneck speed, stopped, hovered there for like maybe 5 or 10 seconds, moved a little bit further along the coast, and then just whizzed off again. And I was thinking, wow. And I was thinking maybe, you know, that was because I thought, you know, it's as bright as Jupiter would appear. And I was thinking, obviously the lightning going off, it felt to me that there was some kind of battle going on. But obviously Zeus is Jupiter's Zeus, and he's obviously Thor, and it was on a Thursday night. And this is all tying in together, and he's obviously the god of thunder. And I was thinking maybe that was it. And it kind of, obviously knowing what I know now with the light bodies, in that up there, what we're told is space is otherwise etheric, liquid, fluid. It's the fifth element. And so how these beings get about, which are the, you know, these gods, they're otherwise, you know, in their light bodies. And this is how we travel. It's not as if it's like in a ship or whatever, even though when you come down into these lower densities, whatever your thought form is of how you travel, could appear as a ship, could appear as a dragon, could appear as whatever you want. It has to, you know, be made solid down here in this density, because there's certain rules that govern you know, this density. And that's why things calcify. That's why things are very solid down here. They're very dense. They're very slow moving. That's why you know, things take a long time to manifest. But that up there in the higher realms, there's obviously, you know, thought. You can think your way through the liquid, which is the conduit to your thought, in order to travel through your light body, your Merkaba. And obviously there's certain beings that can actually hold the Merkaba down here in this realm too. But it obviously does take a lot of energy. And this is why it doesn't happen often. But this is why you see the UFOs and stuff like this, and they're able to just think their way at breakneck speeds, which is why, you know, modern physics can't explain. And this is why all these idiots are still scratching their heads, because they've just got no science of the soul or how the universe works on a conscious level, with all these different densities and all these different rules that are set in, given that govern certain reality systems. You know, it's all these universal laws. Like, we're in the law of duality, which under that there's so many different reality systems where you experience duality in these different bodies, in these different laws of physics. You know, you can have realms where, you know, Superman is really real. You'd be able to fly everywhere and shit like this, but it'll appear dense. And this is otherwise what's happening with Earth. You know, we are raising our frequency, and so certain things are being unlocked for those who are on the path of ascension. There's many, and there's not many. Trust me. That's why they say there's a staircase to heaven and a highway to hell, because these entities really do need us in order to survive. So it's survival for them, which is why they get so fucking desperate. Which is why you're seeing things play out the way they are, because of the detachment source. But in the process of this trials and tribulations and all the evil that's in the world, really, you know, diamonds form under pressure, and so this really does produce the next batch of, you know, awakened beings that are granted more access and responsibility into the universe. And so this is what you need to take away, that there's always a bigger plan. You know, as bad as things may seem in your reality, there's always a bigger plan, and that's something to ponder on. And that diamonds only form unless put under pressure. So it's almost like a necessary evil. And this place is probably a school. It's probably a rehabilitation centre as well. It's many things. It's a library. There's a lot of things going on here. Voluntary souls, incarnating souls, helping to shift the grids. There's all sorts playing out at the moment. There's so many different timelines that are bottlenecking, which otherwise, you know, certain people are trying to gain control of in order to sway it one way or the other. But there's always going to be remedy for those souls who want to get out at any time, because we have possessed the power of thought, which is free will. And free will can never be violated, and that is the number one law of any universal system of realities that are created, is free will. And just look how, and to prove that, just look at how careful they are in engineering consent for us to consent to all this shit, because they cannot do anything without our consent. We're getting all these celebrities to roll up their sleeves, get the vaccines and shit like this, to convince you that we need to go and follow suit, because we can't think for ourselves and do the research, because we trust in Uncle Sam, because we're all fucking idiots. We're under, you know, Stockholm syndrome. Everyone's falling in love with their captors and they've got no idea. But that's down to them. You know, you can lead a horse to water, but you can't let it drink the waters of life and the wisdom that come with it. It has to happen internally within. You can plant a few seeds and hope they do pop and alter their consciousness, but it's a fucking process, let me tell you. For me it was. It took me, you know, many years, 2 or 3 years. And I'm still doing my battles. Yeah, it happens. But you're just gonna ride the waves, man. And once you become adept and you clean up the diet and you purify, you know, you just build on itself. All these experiences, all these trials and tribulations, whatever don't kill you, make you stronger. You know, so it's all about knowing thyself and remembering who you are and how powerful you actually are, and that we have all the power under the sun to exercise our free will in this system, and nothing can be done without our consent in this plane and all the other planes above. And if your will and desire is pure, then you won't be doing too bad. You'll be looked after and you do well, and you'll make your way back out of this satanic grid. And yeah, anyway, thanks for watching, thanks for listening. It's a bit of a long video, but yeah, if you have any similar experiences, interact. We're all in this together. Like I said, we're all cosmic, we're all part of a big family. We're all earthlings. As much as I want to feel like I'm from another star system, I'm not. I'm here right now. You know, the only time that matters is now time. So identify as a human. The human vessel, this temple, is so very powerful. It's only just beginning to realise how powerful we are. for all these things coming back online, all these higher senses. So yeah, cheers for watching, guys. Speak soon. Take care and all the best. Peace.